Right now on Morning News Now, a war of words on the campaign trail. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump trading blows just 18 days to the election.
And when we hopefully win, dispose of her, I like her a lot, but right now I can't stand her. It's true.
You know, I've said many times, you've heard me say, Donald Trump is an unserious man. And the consequences of him ever getting his foot back in the Oval Office are brutally serious. Brutally serious.
And a strong showing from early voters in battleground North Carolina. We have team coverage for you. Developing this morning, celebration and uncertainty in the Middle East after the killing of the mastermind of the October 7th massacre by Israeli forces. More on his death and what it could mean for the region. And a positive outlook for America's economy, boosting spirits from Wall Street to the workplace. The new data that points to progress and what it all means for you. And Swifties, are you ready for it? That's right, pop superstar Taylor Swift is back on the road for the final leg of her sold-out Eras tour. We'll take you to Florida for your first look at all the excitement. Did you know that that's how that song goes?
Now I
that's
do.
the song title.
So is this considered the end of an era?
Yeah, good.
Or a new era?
Good.
Or
I'd call it the end of an
wondering.
era.
Good to have you with us on a Friday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for being here. Happy almost weekend. We're going to start with the race to the White House. Polls are showing VP Harris and former President Donald Trump in a dead heat with just 18 days until the election. Both candidates are leaning on some of their more famous backers this week. Elon Musk and former President Barack Obama, for example. That's to try to win over critical, undecided battleground state voters.
So far, more than 9 million Americans have already cast their ballots in early voting. And after a week of town halls and media interviews, both candidates will be on the ground in battleground Michigan today. NBC News senior political reporter John Allen is here to give us a look at where the race stands, just 2.5 weeks from Election Day. But first, let's go to NBC News White House correspondent Ali Rafa and NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard, who covers the Trump campaign with the latest on each candidate's campaign. Vaughn, we'll start with you. So last night we had the Al Smith dinner here in New York City, which benefits Catholic charities. It's a tradition that goes back to the Kennedy-Nixon race so long ago. Usually both candidates go. Last night, VP Harris sent a video instead. Melania Trump was there making a rare appearance. What were the headlines for Mr. Trump last night?
This is a different era in our politics, if I may. And Kamala Harris not appearing there last night was noteworthy because usually this is a venue where jokes are cracked between the two presidential candidates, and 8 years ago, it was Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And there were some uncomfortable moments between the two. And that is where you saw the Harris campaign take their efforts to battleground Wisconsin. They submitted a 3.5 video, but it was Donald Trump over the course of nearly a half hour gave his own version of a roast. Take a listen to one of his jokes.
There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. Every one of those people is voting for me.
Was really quite a crowd. You saw Chuck Schumer, the Democratic senator here from New York, sitting right next to him. Governor Kathy Hochul was there. Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots. They haven't spoken since January 6th. They were one-time friends. He was sitting in front of him. Michael Bloomberg, the former New York City mayor, who also tried to run for president in 2020, sitting there as well. There was one moment where he took a crack at the Harris family. There were other moments where he told the Catholics in the room, this was for Catholic charities, that the onus was on them to vote for him because Kamala Harris doesn't care about Catholics, suggesting her appearance there was her sending a statement.
Ali, let's bring you in here. So Harris's campaign said she didn't attend the dinner because she wanted to focus on campaigning in crucial battleground states. One of those is Wisconsin, which is where Harris was last night. What was her main message to voters there?
Yeah, that's right. She decided last month not to attend that dinner, as you mentioned, sending in that pre-recorded video so she could barnstorm those critical blue wall states that her campaign is depending so heavily on. And so we saw her in Wisconsin yesterday holding 3 campaign rallies. But her rally in Green Bay, Wisconsin was arguably her most notable as she really leaned into this trend we're seeing from her as she sharpened her attacks against former President Trump, in this case using his most recent comments against him. She talked about that all-women's town hall that he participated in on Fox earlier this week, criticizing him for referring to himself as the, quote, father of IVF. And then she showed this video montage to the crowd of clips of former President Trump touting his role in overturning Roe v. Wade, and then using that to frame again this argument that he would be a threat to democracy and as evidence that he would be a risk if elected to a second term, particularly to women. She also talked about that Univision town hall that Trump participated in with Latino voters earlier this week, accusing him of gaslighting the American people after he called January 6th, quote, a day of love. She also used that recent Fox News interview that she did to really make the case that, in her words, she would be a president for all people, that she's not better than stepping outside of her comfort zone. And so this is what we can expect to see more of from her in these last few days until the election, really trying in the clearest way possible to draw this contrast between her and former President Trump, to try to get as many voters out there as possible, guys.
Vaughn, let's talk about Republican Minority Leader. Senator Mitch McConnell made some scathing remarks about the former president. This is in a new book about him. It's called The Price of Power. In it, he called Mr. Trump, quote, a despicable human, stupid, and unfit for office, and yet he has endorsed Mr. Trump for office this year. Is the Trump campaign worried at all about what kind of impact this could maybe have on those moderate Republicans who aren't Trump fans but are on the fence?
No, because Donald Trump has used Mitch McConnell really as a sort of a figure of the old Republican Party. He's called him Old Crow, Mitch McConnell. Now he's planning to step down as Senate Majority Leader after this year here if the Republicans were to hold on to power in the Senate. But this, for Donald Trump, is somebody here, I think, who is very representative of the rest of the Republican Party over the last 10 years as Donald Trump has reigned over it. Somebody who says in this book here, quote, that Trump is stupid as well as being ill-tempered and can't even figure out where his own best interests lie, and said that it was not just Democrats who could not wait for Donald Trump to get out of power on January 20th, 2021, and he placed blame for the January 6th attack at the feet of Donald Trump. Yet, you said it, Joe. Who did Mitch McConnell endorse here in 2024? He endorsed Donald Trump. And in his responses to why, he said, well, his own vice presidential nominee and running mate, J.D. Vance, has said worse things than he has even said about him. Of course, J.D. Vance, at one point, he called Donald Trump America's Hitler. And once again, you see the Republican Party leadership coalescing around Donald Trump because, as so often goes in politics, you can't get much done unless you have power. And they see Donald Trump as a pathway to pushing through Republican legislation up on Capitol Hill.
But here's the thing, the race between these two neck and neck, right? At least several Democratic leaders are nervous about that and the party's chances of winning the election. How is Harris responding to their fears?
Well, remember that growing pressure campaign that Democrats led against President Biden a couple months ago, urging him to step down from the 2024 race. And now my colleague Peter Nicholas is reporting that there are Democrats with growing anxiety about whether Harris is doing enough or spending enough time on the campaign trail, given how stagnant the polling numbers are, given that these polls have been neck and neck for months now. But the Harris campaign is seeing this as more of a driver to get Democrats out to the polls when they see how tight they are. They are more driven to get out and vote. But remember, we saw this criticism in the early days of her candidacy about her media strategy, specifically from Republicans. And then we saw that shift to her doing much more media and engaging with the media more. This criticism now from members of her own party may be enough to really light a fire under the campaign and get them out on the campaign trail more.
All right, Ali Rafa, Vaughn Hilliard, thank you both for kicking us off this hour.
Now let's bring in NBC News senior national politics reporter John Allen. John, good morning. So we've seen both candidates out there, heard a lot from them in town halls and media interviews all across battleground states. We're just 18 days away now. What are the final messages for each of these candidates to sway voters?
Yeah, good morning, Savannah. Good morning, Joe. I think, number one, what we're seeing in the final leg here is an absolute turn toward the negative. Which, not only is aimed at driving out the turnout on each candidate's own side, but also trying to suppress the turnout for the other side. So, with Kamala Harris, she is making the argument that Donald Trump is dangerously unstable, that he's unfit for office. And this is an argument we've heard about Donald Trump before. And Donald Trump's argument about Kamala Harris is that she, as he has said in his own words, that she's not that bright. and that she is dangerously liberal. We've also heard that argument before from Donald Trump about Democrats. So same arguments and different Democratic candidate now.
So, John, looking at this from a bird's eye view, what's the one or two things you're focused on that could impact the outcome? Could it come down to a specific issue or a specific group of voters?
We have seen such close elections in the last two cycles, and I think the campaigns on both sides are looking at super close elections right now that anything could tip the balance. We're talking about possibly fewer than 100,000 votes over a couple of states, maybe as the deciders. But in terms of the issue set, what you're hearing Trump talk about is, immigration. He's talking about inflation. He's talking about Israel. Those are the issues that he sees benefiting him. You hear Kamala Harris talking about some of the issues that she thinks benefit her, whether that's abortion or health care, Social Security and Medicare. And of course, the number one thing that Democrats have been saying about Trump for a long time, which is that he is a threat to democracy.
Some big names, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, they're out on the campaign trail this week on both sides of this. Elon Musk was in Pennsylvania solo, actually, for Trump. Shark Tank star Mark Cuban was with Harris in Wisconsin. Former President Obama will be in Arizona today. From what you've seen in past presidential campaigns, do last-minute pushes like this, do endorsements and celebrities being the ones out on the trail make a difference?
I'll go back to what I just said a moment ago in terms of anything could make a difference in such a small election. But the short answer is no. I mean, if Americans haven't made their mind up about Donald Trump at this point after a decade, pro or con, I doubt that Elon Musk or Barack Obama is going to make up their mind for them. Obviously, Kamala Harris has some ability to potentially persuade some folks who have not yet, who aren't Trump voters but haven't yet decided to vote for her. There's still some possibility of that. I think that's where, President Obama or other surrogates might be a little bit helpful at the margins. But, largely people aren't voting on the surrogates.
So, John, Vice President Harris has recently sharpened some of her language against Mr. Trump, calling him unhinged, unstable, whereas Mr. Trump's comments about Harris have always been pretty sharp, sometimes even discriminatory. Voters say they don't like negative politics, but time and time again, history tells us these personal attacks actually work, right?
Yeah, I don't like gaining weight, but I love eating chocolate. Voters say they don't love the negative attacks, but the reason that the campaigns do them is that they do work.
John Allen, always a great time having you on. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Turning now to a major development in the war in the Middle East, where Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar has been killed. He was the mastermind of the October 7th massacre. We learned yesterday that Sinwar was killed Wednesday by Israeli defense forces who were on patrol in the Gaza Strip. They claim these right here are his final moments, captured in this drone video. NBC News has not independently confirmed that.
Speaking on Israeli television Thursday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called Sinwar's death the beginning of the day after Hamas.
For more, let's bring in NBC News international correspondent Megan Fitzgerald. Megan, good morning. So Sinwar was killed 2 days ago. We just got the confirmation yesterday. This was not an operation that was actually targeting him specifically. So how did the IDF make this connection? What are we learning about his final moments?
Yeah, guys, good morning. You're absolutely right. Sinwar was not killed in some sort of planned special operation. Instead, it was happenstance. The IDF says that they saw 3 Hamas forces fleeing from house to house. Gunfire was exchanged, and Sinwar fled alone into another house. The IDF then sends in a drone, which appears to locate Sinwar with an apparent gunshot wound to the hand. The IDF says in his final moments, he throws a wooden plank towards the drone before forces fire inside this bombed-out house. Israeli forces say Sinwar was masked, he was wearing a vest, and armed when they found him inside. Guys?
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called Sinwar's killing a milestone. What is he saying about what comes next? What does this mean for the war? And also any response from Hamas?
Well, look, there's a lot of speculation. There was a lot of speculation yesterday when we heard, before we heard from Prime Minister Netanyahu, that the killing of Sinwar could mean this would be the end to the war in Gaza. But in his speech last night, Netanyahu said it's not the end of the war, it's the beginning of the end. And he vowed to keep fighting until the hostages are free. While this was absolutely crippling, a crippling blow to Hamas, this morning they remain defiant. A senior Hamas official has given a statement to our Keir Simmons saying that Hamas has lost many leaders over the years, but only become stronger and more popular. The statement goes on to say that Hamas is a liberation movement of people looking for freedom and dignity, and this can't be eliminated.
So, Megan, NBC News spoke with a woman whose in-laws were kidnapped on October 7th. I want to play some of her reaction to the death of Sinwar. Take a listen.
It feels a big sorrow that he's dead, because I want the hostages back home now. I want Grandpa to be back home. I want the Bivas children to be back home. And I think this will be impossible now when Sinwar is dead.
So, Megan, what could Sinwar's killing mean for the family members of those remaining hostages? And what about also for the Palestinian people who have been living in this dangerous situation in Gaza?
Yeah, guys, you know, I mean, there's a lot that we don't know. I mean, will the hostage negotiations resume? When will this war in Gaza end? We are, however, hearing from the families of hostages, as you heard from that woman just there. Many are happy that Sinwar is dead, but they won't be satisfied or complete, of course, until their loved ones are safely home. And again, you know, we're talking about 101 people that are still being held hostage, though it's unclear how many are still alive. As for the millions of people in Gaza, a ceasefire, you know, certainly can't come fast enough. I mean, the situation on the ground, as we've been talking about for the whole week now and reporting for months, just continues to deteriorate as aid still struggles to make its way into the enclave. We know that some trucks made it into Gaza City after the warning from the White House to try and increase aid, but it is still a drop in the bucket for what these folks need. Guys.
Megan Fitzgerald, Megan, thank you so much. Let's get to some good news for our wallets this morning. Some economic data from Thursday points to an increasingly strong economy, which is giving both consumers and investors some much-needed relief amid fears of a potential recession.
Yeah, get this. Yesterday, the Dow Jones closed at a new all-time high, while retail sales grew from August to September, outpacing expectations. And as stocks are looking up, the Labor Department is reporting that applications for unemployment benefits have dropped and are better than expected in recent weeks.
For more on all things money this morning, we are joined by our friend, Investopedia editor-in-chief Caleb Silver. Caleb, good morning. So just walk us through some of the good news for our economy this morning. What kind of picture does all this data paint?
Yeah, it shows us that we're actually maybe in that soft landing zone. Generally speaking, the headline numbers are very good. Retail sales grew more than expected last month. That was because of lower gas prices. But we were out spending on apparel, spending on personal care, spending on sports equipment, spending on clothing. That helps a lot when gas prices are down. That gives us a little bit more cushion in our wallet. But also weekly jobless claims falling even after 2 hurricanes and that strike at Boeing. That just tells you that companies are not quick to lay off workers right now. There's still plenty of jobs out there. Headline numbers are looking very good. That's translating into the stock market, which keeps making record highs after record highs. We're on a 6-week win streak here, the longest of the year. And I think if you look back 2 years ago, almost to the day, this is when the bull market began. We were at the depths of a bear market just 2 years ago. We're up 63% since then. So all this is translated well for the investing class.
Caleb, as you just said, looks like maybe this is that soft landing. Just put in context how difficult it is to stick that landing, the different levers that had to be pulled and buttons that had to be pushed and all these little machinations we've seen come from the Fed that puts us in this place right now.
Yeah, well, we did have inflation at a high of over 8% just a few years ago, right? And we did have these concerns that we would go into a deep recession. Well, we never actually did. We had a couple of quarters of soft growth. So by keeping those interest rates so high, which was painful for a lot of people that had borrowed money, that really slowed inflation down. Now, inflation is kind of stuck in 2.5%, but the fact that it actually worked and prices have stopped going up as dramatically, that is very difficult to do, especially in an economy that was so dislocated after the pandemic. That's actually good. Companies are actually doing well. If you look at corporate earnings, companies are actually growing their profits pretty substantially year over year, quarter after quarter. That's good news as well. And a recession has a technical definition, right? A couple of quarters of negative growth, a slowdown across the boards, and a couple of key indicators. But a recession is also when your neighbor is out of work, when you do lose your job and can't get another one. We haven't seen a lot of that yet. So this has been a very difficult landing to pull off, and a lot of people still don't feel it. But generally speaking, the economy is in pretty good shape as we head into the election just a few weeks from now and a couple of rate cuts on the horizon. horizon as well.
Caleb, let's go back 2 years. If we have said that we were going to have a soft landing like this, would you have thought it was possible?
No, I was definitely expecting a much rougher landing than we had because inflation was so high. When you keep interest rates that high for so long, it really hurts low-income families and households. They stop spending. But guess what? Nobody really stopped spending. We just extended our credit card debt. So we used a little bit of credit and a lot of that money that the government handed out to help us through this process. This is like unlike any other period of time, economically speaking, that we've ever had. That said, I wouldn't have thought we would have had a soft landing, and I wouldn't have thought the stock market would be up 65% from 2 years ago today. Did not look so good back then. Right now, if you're in the investing class and you own assets, the value of your home has gone up, the value of your portfolio has gone up as well. If you don't, you're still looking at an economy with plenty of jobs that is actually growing, where corporate profits are growing as well.
So nice to have one of these segments have so much good news packed into it. Caleb, what do these mean? What does all this mean for interest rate cuts?
You mean in 20 days, 6 hours, and 45 minutes?
I should have asked.
Next Fed meeting? 2 days after the election, markets are still indicating about a 90% chance of a quarter-point cut on November 7th, and then another one December 18th. Now, the strong economic data that we've had may cause the Fed to pause a little bit and gather itself, especially 2 days after the election. So if we get no rate cut in the November meeting on November 7th, it wouldn't surprise me that much. We're going to get one before the end of the year. The path for interest rates are heading lower and to the right. That's good news for borrowers with high debt. That's also good news for people that are thinking about making that purchase, whether you're thinking about buying a home with that first mortgage or buying a car. Not so good news for people with money in the bank. We've been enjoying 5% return on our money in our savings account and CDs. Those days are coming to an end.
2 days after the election, we might not know who won the election. So we'll see what happens. Caleb Silver, as always. Thank you so much, Caleb.
Well, it is a frosty Friday morning as freeze alerts hit the East Coast.
Meteorologist Angie Lassman is here with the forecast that I guess is going to change, right?
Doesn't it always, guys? If you don't like the weather, they say just wait a day or maybe even less. And that's kind of what we've got going here when it comes to the temperatures over the next few days, at least for the East Coast. We've still got alerts up as far as frost advisories and freeze warnings for 49 million people, but a whole lot less folks are included in these this morning as compared to yesterday or even the day before that. You can see parts of the Great Lakes, even the Midwest, kind of have seen those temperatures on the rise. And that's the trend that we're going to see here going forward for this section of the country. Right now, though, still needing a jacket in places like Chicago. We've got Lexington heading to 38 degrees, 39 for Charlottesville. We've got low to mid 40s from Fayetteville down to Charleston, even Tallahassee. Your temperatures earlier this morning into the low 40s. We've seen that number come up, but just a touch. And if you live in Florida, you're going to need a jacket for sure if it's 47 degrees out. Now, our temperatures will get a little better by this afternoon, at least closer to normal in some spots like New York, mid-60s, Detroit, mid-60s, Green Bay, Des Moines, Minneapolis, all into the 70s by later this afternoon. And that kind of general trend sticks with us even into tomorrow. We'll see a slight uptick in our temperatures in the afternoon hours for your Saturday plans across this area. And we will be above normal. So if you're looking for warmer air, again, Green Bay, Chicago, Springfield, Kansas City, all of those spots are going to be running warmer than normal for this time of year. But out west, it's a different story. We've also got some freeze alerts up for folks out there. But notice kind of the temperature tumble that we see in some of these spots as we get through the weekend and on the other side of it into our next work week. Seattle, you end up at 63 degrees on Sunday and then mid-50s Monday, and your high temperature by Tuesday, just 53 degrees. Not as a big of a change for Boise. You'll end up in the upper 60s and then mid-60s by Tuesday. But we've got some cooler kind of reinforcing air coming in with a couple of different systems that we're watching. The first one I told you about yesterday, that was working across the Rockies, and it's still going to be kind of in that same general area, bringing rain, snow, and the gusty winds. I'll show you those here in a moment. But we've also got an atmospheric river happening across parts of the Pacific Northwest. That's leaving us with a whole lot of rain to contend with, and we'll watch for that specifically across parts of the Olympic Peninsula, those northern Cascades. That's where we're watching for the heaviest of the rain to fall over the next couple of days. But this system still hanging out by Saturday, and we're going to see those kind of flash flooding concerns across New Mexico stay with us. We'll also see the gusty winds be potentially problematic for folks across this region. And it does include some of these wind alerts that are already up right now. We've got 19 million people included across parts of California, Nevada, stretching out into parts of New Mexico. This is going to be something we'll see through the day today and into tonight. Look at some of these peak wind gusts across this region. It goes really from the Rockies west, but Las Vegas coming in 43 miles per hour, Palm Springs 40 miles per hour. So some gusty conditions. We've also got the heavy rain that we're watching across New Mexico specifically. And we're most most concerned about those burn scar areas from wildfires. That's where it's, of course, so easy for us to see some of that flash flooding. So that's where we'll be watching by later today. Otherwise, big picture look for the weekend. The East looks really good. I honestly don't think you have anything to complain about. If you do, don't send it to me, because look at these temperatures. Low 70s, lots of sunshine. The only spot that we're really going to be watching is where I mentioned that flood risk. By Sunday, we finish out the weekend across the East with an East Coast winter. That's for Savannah. She loves these. It'll be sunny and warm for the Gulf Coast, guys. And then, again, still some of that rain across the Pacific Northwest.
All right. Well, we've got a winner. I love it. All right. Angie, thank you.
Winner, chicken dinner.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Much more to come here on Morning News. Now, later this hour, holiday habits. We're going to break down a new data signaling a big shift in the way Americans shop during the holidays.
Up first, though, after the break, Secret Service under fire. The scathing report following the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're going to turn now to a scathing new report from an independent panel about the Secret Service. It's calling on the agency to bring in outside leadership, saying it requires fundamental reform after the mistakes that led to the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump at a July rally in Pennsylvania. NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell sat down in an exclusive interview with the acting director to get his response.
The high-risk mission of the Secret Service under new scrutiny. Fallout over failures that led up to the attack on former President Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. The independent review panel of law enforcement experts from both parties issued a 52-page report that finds deep flaws at the Secret Service and calls the agency bureaucratic, complacent, and static. Acting Director Ronald Rowe responding in an exclusive interview.
We have not been sitting back waiting for reports like this to come out. Following the horrific events of July 13th, we've already started to make not only operational changes, but policy changes.
They are recommending a leadership change. Are you prepared for that?
Well, what I'm focused on right now is making sure that I'm advocating for the men and women of the Secret Service that are out there doing the mission.
This busy campaign season remains a high-threat environment, with demands to secure so many prominent figures out on the trail. Agents and resources are stretched thin. Do you have a morale problem?
We are asking them to do extraordinary things right now. I worry that my workforce is certainly demoralized by some of the things that are said about them.
The Trump campaign has repeatedly requested more resources.
He is receiving the highest level of Secret Service protection that is commensurate with the protection provided to the President of the United States.
Is he satisfied based on your interactions with him?
So I've had conversations with the former president. He's very happy with his detail. He's actually publicly stated that.
The agency says it is adding more technology, expanding training on drones, acknowledging they didn't work at Butler. Even robotic dogs that can detect body heat of unseen perpetrators, and moving target dummies simulate attacks. But the director says their training center needs more.
The challenge that we have here is we don't have a realistic training environment for the most famous address in the world.
Agents have traveled to Tyler Perry's studio replica of the White House for training. Rowe insists they need their own to meet the real-world security demands. Kelly O'Donnell, NBC News at the Secret Service Training Center.
NBC News law enforcement analyst and former Secret Service agent Evie Pamporis joins us now for more on this. Evie, good morning. We always appreciate your expertise on this. So I just want to read something from this report. The Secret Service has become bureaucratic, complacent, and static. Obviously, we just got a lot of other information in Kelly's report there. What do you think? Does this ring true? And if so, how do you fix it?
There's a lot of issues. If you read this, it's 52 pages, and it really outlines two core things. One are the issues and the failures of what happened at Butler. For example, there's a mobile command post with local authorities. No Secret Service personnel was in that command post, that mobile command post, so there was communication issues. Secret Service drone not being utilized to detect Crooks' drone being used in the area, the building not being secured, the rooftop, which we all know about. So it outlines all those issues. Then it goes in deeper, and then it looks at systemic and cultural issues within the Secret Service. So they're not just saying you had these issues at the event. They're also saying you're having issues deeper and internally. And one of the recommendations, which we just heard, was them saying that they need new leadership. And I think that that might not be a bad thing, because when you are so in a an environment and in a culture, you're used to doing things a certain way. Another thing the report indicates is the way the Secret Service does protection, as far as how they allocate sources, is more formulaic rather than assessing what's the actual threat, that they actually follow formulas, and these formulas might not be the right thing when you're trying to put protection advances together.
We just heard the acting director say he fears that his agents are demoralized right now. Beyond new leadership, is there anything else you can do to change that, to reverse that?
Right now, honestly, no. They're going to have to ride this out. I don't know how you recover from this short term. Long term, you can. They need support, of course. They need resources. I do think you need more training. I will tell you from my own personal experience, you need training. You want me to be a good shooter? I have to shoot more than just a couple of months. You want me to do tactical stuff and be well at doing mitigation responses, protection? I have to train more. That is something you must do. Elite tactical agencies, they train. It's like anything. It's like athletes. You must training. And they actually put that in the report. You need more training. That's another issue that they need to face. So it will take some time. It's going to be, is it demoralizing? This report and incident in and of itself is demoralizing. And I think a lot of it, it's not what comes from the outside, but I think a lot of it what comes from within, knowing that truly in some sense you failed.
It was something to me to learn that they need to go to a movie star's studio in order to be able to train on what you would imagine is the place that they are protecting the most frequently. Exactly. A movie set rather than actually having the training facilities they need. You were telling us something interesting when you first came on set before we were on the air, which was that it's also changed who gets protection and therefore spreading resources even thinner when we need more agents.
So some of the things I'm hearing is that they are extending out as far as who they are protecting, family members of protectees, and it can get a little bit dicey here because you want to give protection to the people that need it, but you also don't want to be protecting extended family members because that does further thin out your resources. So I think really coming back, looking at who truly needs protection, what assets are we giving them? Because if you keep extending out because there's a threat here, there's a threat here, you also have to figure out at what point does protection stop? You've got grandchildren, you've got sister-in-laws or brother-in-laws or extended family members. There has to be a point, because if you're going to keep pushing that out, fine. But then now you're looking at a lot more manpower and resources needed. And is that truly where the U.S. taxpayer dollar should be going?
Could they maybe fine-tune those people, like give them fewer resources and still make it work? Or does it just, maybe they have to like cut down the list of who gets the resources?
Spoken like a manager at a U.S. Secret Service agent. I love that. Here's the problem with that. I'm going to tell you this as an agent. Do you want me to keep them alive or not? And so if you want me to keep somebody alive, you have to give me the resources I need. Right. There's no middle ground, unfortunately.
Wow. Evie, always fascinating to hear your perspective. Thank you so much for coming by. Coming up, a medical breakthrough to help the youngest heart patients. Up
next, NBC News gets a first look at a new stent for babies after it was approved by the FDA. This is Morning News Now. We're back now with an advancement in medical technology that's helping infants born with certain heart defects. A stent is a device used to treat heart issues and other issues, and until now, it was only available in adult sizes. But a new type of stent is designed for babies. NBC News medical fellow Dr. Akshay Sayal got the first look.
From the moment baby Raphael and twin sister Antonia were born, their mom Claire knew something wasn't right.
Our daughter was pulled out. I felt joy. Then 1 minute later, so 12:11, then 12:12, our son is pulled out, and I felt incredible sadness. And my first thought was, he is not safe. He is not safe.
Claire's intuition was correct. Within hours of birth, doctors told her and her wife Ashley that Raphael had a murmur and would need urgent open heart surgery.
There's nothing more terrifying than someone telling you your one-day-old baby is going to have open heart surgery.
Raphael had congenital heart disease, a birth defect that affects the structure of the heart, preventing normal blood flow. Dr. Evan Zahn is the director of the Guerin Congenital Heart Program at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. He says treatment typically involves implanting a stent, a mesh tube to keep the blood vessels open. But the problem, Zahn says, is that there hasn't been a stent designed for babies.
What we've been doing for the past 3 decades is kind of jerry-rigging these adult stents, making them work for our patients. And you can imagine that is less than ideal. They're too big.
Until now, Zahn helped develop the first of its kind stent just for infants and young children.
The new stent is really a game changer. We have been looking for something like this for 30 plus years.
The Minima stent is designed to grow with the child, preventing the need for multiple surgeries.
So you adjust it as opposed to having to crack open a chest.
Exactly.
Instead, doctors can expand the stent with a balloon, using a simple procedure that goes through a blood vessel in the groin. Patients can go home in about a day.
So this is the whole catheter. We just go nice and slow. Stent starts to blow up, 3 millimeters. So you blow the stent up, then you take the balloon down, and then we would just leave the stent in there.
Baby Raphael's first surgery wasn't a total success, but incredibly, the new Minima stent was FDA approved just 2 days before his next surgery, making him one of the first babies to receive it.
After everything that's happened, you weren't at all nervous about putting a device that's recently approved into...
Oh no, we're like, hell yeah.
We were like, put that in.
Yeah.
It felt really amazing, actually, to witness medicine and progress and technology changing your life in like a very real way on a very real timeline. He's not going to have a stent replacement every 3 years for the next 20 years.
Now, weeks after his procedure and recovering well, he's back where he belongs, at home with his family.
And he looks very happy. Dr. Akshay Sayal joins us now for more on this. Dr. Sayal, good to have you with us. So doctors have described this as a game changer. Talk to us about how significant a breakthrough this is and actually the kinds of heart conditions it will actually help doctors treat.
I mean, Joe, just how cute is baby Raphael there? And so glad to see that he's doing well. And so, Joe, you know, the word game changer in medicine gets thrown a lot, especially in media headlines. You know, we hear this word a lot. But in talking to other doctors at NYU, where you guys are, and over in Cincinnati, they really, you know, can't overstate this. It really is going to change the field of pediatric cardiology for people born with heart defects. This affects about 40,000 babies a year here in the U.S. It's the most common birth defect, actually, here in the United States. And so this stent now approved for narrowing of both the aorta and the pulmonary artery, two of the major blood vessels in the body, and essentially just goes in there and pops them open.
Dr. Sayal, as we heard in your piece, these new stents will now be able to grow with the child as they age, which just sounds absolutely incredible to me. How will that change what treatments children would typically need as they get older? Does it, you know, minimize the number of surgeries, and how big of a breakthrough is that?
It's huge, Savannah. And so essentially what happens is the old way, or the traditional way of doing this, you know, we take these adult stents, we, as you heard in the package, jerry-rig them or sort of make them work for infants and newborns. And Savannah, you have to keep replacing them every few years, and this can involve open heart surgery. We heard from Dr. Zahn in there that, you know, kids in middle school and high school, it's not uncommon to have multiple heart surgeries over the course of their life, and that is something where it's a violent surgery, right? You do crack open the chest, it can be very traumatic. So, you know, the ability to adjust this stent through a minimally invasive procedure in the groin to have it literally grow with the child, the benefit of that cannot be overstated.
Anything you can do with a catheter is absolutely amazing and makes such a huge difference. So this is approved by the FDA now, but how long before it's actually maybe widely available to young patients?
It's coming now, Joe. It's been approved now since a couple weeks now, and you know, heart surgery centers across the country in New York I talked to, and in Ohio, and of course here in Los Angeles where I am, are going to be starting to use this. This is something that if parents are out there and their baby is born with a congenital heart defect, I would certainly ask if this is an option, if the doctors at the hospital are trained in this new procedure, because anything we can do to minimize those big gnarly surgeries, especially for kids, you know, whose biggest struggle in life should be, you know, who are they taking to the prom, not when is my next open heart surgery. I would highly recommend they do so.
Oh, you can't even imagine the peace it must bring parents too.
When I was young, I had heart problems, and the solution was supposed to be open heart surgery, and then they came up with a solution that involved just using a catheter to go in and fix the problem. It was an incredible difference and made such a huge difference, so that we can advance this technology to help so many more heart defects is just incredibly important.
Absolutely.
Dr. Sayal, thank you so much for that reporting. Really appreciate it. Coming up, the internet effect. New data shows how technology is impacting our holiday shopping habits.
Ooh, listen to this holiday music. We'll break down the trends and the other factors at play next on Morning News Now.
We're back with some financial headlines. After cracking down on password sharing, no surprise, Netflix is seeing subscriptions surge.
Yes, it works. CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and more. Hey, Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Joe. Good morning and happy Friday to you. So shares of Netflix are set to jump today after the streaming service reported quarterly results that topped analyst estimates. Now, Netflix adding more than 5 million new subscribers, with its ad-supported tier accounting for more than half of those signups. The company expects even higher subscriber numbers around the holidays. That's when the second season of Squid Game debuts. Netflix also has the live boxing match between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul next month, and 2 NFL games on Christmas Day. The federal government's bet on using AI to fight financial crimes are paying off. The Treasury Department says the technology helped recover $1 billion worth of check fraud alone in the past fiscal year, nearly 3 times what it recovered the previous year. Officials were able to prevent and recover more than $4 billion overall. Treasury started using AI to detect fraud in 2022, taking a page out of what many banks and credit card companies already do. And U.S. safety regulators are opening a preliminary probe into more than 2 million Tesla vehicles equipped with full self-driving. The investigation is focusing on accidents involving road conditions with reduced visibility, including one where a car struck and killed a pedestrian. The probe covers the Tesla Model S, X, Model 3, Y, and the Cybertruck, guys.
All right, Savannah, thank you so much.
Well, let's stay on your money news. Bank of America is out with an interesting new study on how the internet is changing our holiday shopping habits.
The company has been tracking sales data for the last few years and found that a person's annual income can impact both how and when they grab their gifts.
For more, let's bring in David Tinsley. He is a senior economist at the Bank of America Institute. David, good morning. Happy holidays. I guess it's becoming appropriate. It is Halloween. I think it starts at Halloween. Let's first talk about the shift in when people are going shopping for the holidays. I go shopping for the holidays.
Mariah says not yet. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, that's true. But I am like such a last-minute person. But according to the study, it's different if you're online, in person. What do we know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're increasingly in a minority if you haven't started yet. So in our data, when we were looking at spending online, it was already looking quite strong back in August. But, you know, more broadly, we're seeing over the last few years, online, the share of holiday spending online is moving, increasing in share and moving earlier, while kind of Main Street bricks and mortar spending, that usually has 2 peaks, one around Black Friday and another in that last minute dash around Christmas Eve.
That's me.
And those peaks are still there, but they're coming down in terms of size. So people are going online earlier, I think.
You also found, David, that a person's income bracket plays into where they shop. Dig into that for us.
Yeah, there's 2 things really there. One is that this online trend, we're seeing an increase in online spending over like 2 years ago, but particularly amongst lower income households. I think the story there is around bargain hunting, value shopping. Some of those households have been under quite a lot of pressure with the high rates of inflation we've had. So they're looking for deals online. And then there's another aspect, which is when you think of the malls. There was this long-term trend, really, to some malls closing. But there's a real distinction between what you might think of as the higher-end malls catering to higher-income consumers and the lower-income household spending at malls. There's a big difference. I think it's of the order of 20 percentage points in terms of the spending change over the last few years. So I think the online trend is really cannibalizing the kind of lower-end malls, if you like.
Do you think that the biggest thing for people here is about saving money, or is it convenience, or a wider selection of things? What do you think is the main reason that habits change?
It's a good question. I mean, I think it's probably mainly right now driven by this inflation story. People, the higher prices, inflation has come down, but prices are still up. People are still looking for these deals. I think also, though, there is a convenience aspect. And one of the things obviously we saw in the pandemic was it forced a lot of people online who weren't used to it, perhaps older people, and they've got used to it now, and they're still shopping online. So we haven't really seen the trend in online spending fall back much since that peak in the pandemic.
David Tinsley, thank you so much. I'm going to say it
Thank
again.
you.
Happy holidays, happy shopping.
And to you.
Coming up, it's the end of an Eras tour.
Yeah, that's right. Taylor Swift kicking off the final leg of her sold-out tour in Florida. See, Savannah, look what you made me do. This is Morning News.
That was pretty good, actually. That was pretty in tune.
Welcome back. A new NASA study has an update on the age-old question of whether there could be life on Mars. Researchers using computer modeling found meltwater underneath Martian ice where they say microbes would be able to live. It all has to do with the amount of sunlight which can penetrate through the water. The scientists say it is one of the likeliest places where life could exist in the universe, although, of course, to date, none has been found. And that's our reminder. It's not going to be Martian green aliens. It's going to be microbes in water, which is not as visually interesting.
Yeah, you know how much we love space news, and it's obviously so neat when scientists figure something like that out, but it's just funny. We think of aliens, it's like, there's an ice cube.
Right.
Must be life.
You have to
Don't
look at
understand.
it under a microscope.
Right over my head. All right, let's switch gears here. Taylor Swift is back in the U.S. for another round of her Eras Tour shows in Miami this weekend, and while Swifties are definitely ready for it, the moment is a little bittersweet.
Tonight's show kicks off the last leg of the record-smashing tour that's kind of become its own era, and after nearly 2 years of global headlines, the pop star is packing up her getaway car, wrapping it all up with a bow this December.
I love hearing you do this. Fearless Taylor Swift reporter for USA Today, Brian West joins us with a full preview. Hi, Brian. Great to see you again. Good morning. So you are in Miami right now. Tell us, what's the energy? How are the fans doing? Have you seen the friendship bracelets? Have you seen the outfits?
Good morning, Savannah. Good morning, Joe. I am here in Miami. Taylor Swift kicks off with 3 different performances tonight, tomorrow, and also Sunday. I can tell you the vibe is definitely twofold. You have fans that are so excited that this tour is finally back after a 2-month break. She was last seen in August in London. They're excited to see what surprises are in store. I met with fans yesterday that were lined up already for merchandise. They couldn't wait to get their hands on it. But on the other side, you have very strict security measures that we're seeing with Hard Rock Stadium. Even being out there, there is definitely a perimeter that is set up. The website and the stadium have been very firm, telling people that don't have tickets, don't even come on property. If you do have tickets, do expect that you will be checked at multiple stops as you make your way into the stadium tonight.
Brian, let's talk money. These tickets have a reputation for being pricey. Are they getting, at least relatively speaking, a little more affordable? And if so, what's going on there?
I have to first credit all your puns. You're doing really good, Joe. So
I know, we're so proud of him.
When it comes to the prices, what we saw going into this week and into this tour, this leg of the tour, prices were $1,200 to more than $11,000 on Monday. We have seen those prices start to dip. I can't believe I'm saying this, down to 3 digits after there was a surprise ticket drop on Wednesday and another one last night. Right now, if you're looking for resale, it's about $750 to about the average sweet spot is $1,200, $1,500.
Brian, even though this is the beginning of the last leg of the tour, there is a lot to come. So there's a bunch of cities packed in here. I may or may not be going to one of them the last weekend in Vancouver. But tell us about the other cities that are to come. And we're also getting other things like the Eras Tour book from Taylor.
So we have this weekend is in Miami, then she heads to New Orleans, and then the beginning of November, she'll be in Indianapolis. Her final 2 shows are going to be in Toronto and Vancouver. Taylor did make an announcement this week that she is going to, on Black Friday, be releasing an Eras Tour book. It has 256 pages, which for the non-Swiftie, that adds up to 13, which is a number very familiar with her camp. And she's going to basically be highlighting a lot of the different moments that have been on this tour on stage. She also is going to release a double album, or her physical copy of it. So what we saw is with Tortured Poets, the only physical copies, the CDs and the vinyls, are the first 15, 16 songs of the Tortured Poets. Now you can buy all 31 songs plus 4 acoustic songs that will be released on Black Friday.
So, Brian, speaking of books, I know you're working on one with USA Today. Tell us about that.
I'm really excited. So I have this Swift Beat. That was a picture taken in Melbourne, Australia. While her book focuses on the production, the performance, and the tour, this one more is of the fans for the fans. It's more about the 2-year journey, seeing the impact of the Eras tour, and that is going to come out just in time for Christmas. So this Swift Beat.
I love it. Brian, we only have a few seconds left here, but we have to spend it clowning. The next thing that everybody's wondering is, when is a re-recorded version of her album Reputation Taylor's version, coming?
I've always said, even last year, that it was going to be possibly on the last night, but I definitely think it's coming and going to be released next year along with her first album. The reason for that is this week with the Tortured Poets, Taylor always stays within one era. So the fact that she's going to release something on Black Friday tells us we're still in the Tortured Poets, but you never know. It could happen.
Yeah, I agree, except for all the snakes on all her purses and her clothes and her shoes. Brian West, thank you. Oh, you were doing so well.
No
you
clue.
really hung in there.
Lost
Brian
me at the
West,
end there.
Thank you very much. That's a big Taylor symbol. Lots of people know. Brian, thank you, and have so much fun.
All right, that is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now. Good morning. Happy Friday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, the final sprint to Election Day as both candidates descend on battleground Michigan today with just 18 days to go. The candidates' war of words taking on a slightly lighter tone, with former President Trump doling out the political punchlines at a charity dinner here in New York. Well, Vice President Harris taps SNL alum Molly Shannon for her own jabs at her opponent. We're covering it all in just a moment. Global reactions pouring in over the death of Yahya Sinwar, leader of Hamas, widely known as the architect of the October 7th terror attack on Israel. As Israel celebrates the operation, what does it mean for those remaining hostages and a potential ceasefire deal? We're going to bring you the latest. Plus, the disturbing new details surrounding the tragic and untimely death of One Direction star Liam Payne. What we're learning about the singer's final hours before that fatal fall as his former bandmates pay tribute to their brother, lost too soon. We're right in the middle of a coast-to-coast cornucopia of changing colors. But in some communities, those social media leaf peepers are racking up not only views, their fair share of headaches. Too. It's become our annual story. Which part of the country wants people to stop coming to it so they can enjoy the leaves and the
measures that locals go to.
We'll get into that in a little bit. Of course, let's start this hour with the race for the White House. Polling continues to show a dead heat between VP Harris and former President Trump, with just 18 days to go until Election Day.
Both candidates will be on the ground in battleground Michigan today, fresh off last night's Al Smith Catholic charity dinner and a week of media blitzes. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander has the latest from Michigan.
Hey, Joe and Savannah, good morning to you from here in Grand Rapids. Vice President Harris has been picking up the pace of her campaigning in recent days. Another 3 events here in Michigan today, 2 for former President Trump. And to give you a sense of just how crucial this battleground state is, both candidates are going to be in the exact same county tonight, and it comes after a long-standing New York City tradition where the presidential candidates are invited to deliver their best political punchlines.
Former President Trump center stage at the Al Smith charity dinner, attacking Vice President Harris for declining to appear in person.
My opponent feels like she does not have to be here, which is deeply disrespectful.
The former president lobbing insults at his rival.
We have someone in the White House who can barely talk, barely put together 2 coherent sentences, but enough about Kamala Harris. Let's get on to something else.
Trump also joking about the 2 assassination attempts against him.
I just don't see the point of taking shots at myself when other people have been shooting at me for a hell of a long time and they shoot right.
Harris in a pre-recorded video alongside former SNL star Molly Shannon playing Catholic schoolgirl Mary Catherine Gallagher.
Is there anything that you think that maybe I shouldn't bring up tonight? Well, don't lie. Thou shalt not bear false witness to thy neighbor. Indeed, especially thy neighbor's election results.
Trump later attacking Harris over policy.
Our country is doing very badly.
And ending by thanking God for saving his life.
I can tell you. So with God's help, I know there is nothing that cannot be achieved.
Earlier, the vice president campaigning in Wisconsin, responding to a pair of anti-abortion rights protesters.
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. I think
like you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
Blasting Trump over reproductive rights and for making this claim.
I'm the father of IVF.
What does that even mean? I think he has no idea what he's talking about. When it comes to the health care of women in America.
Harris also seizing on Trump's recent comments about January 6th.
That was a day of love.
The American people are exhausted with his gaslighting.
Also this morning, we are learning that Harris will be joined by the Obamas for the first time on the campaign trail next week. Harris is going to be alongside former President Barack Obama in Georgia next Thursday, and Michelle Obama will make her first appearance on the campaign trail with Harris next week back here in Michigan. Former President Trump heads to Pennsylvania this weekend. Back to you.
All right, Peter, thank you so much.
Turning now to the Middle East and the fallout from the killing of Hamas's leader by Israel's army. The mastermind of the October 7th massacre, Yahya Sinwar, was killed by Israeli Defense Force soldiers who were on patrol in the Gaza Strip on Wednesday.
Speaking on Israeli television, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called Sinwar's death the beginning of the day after Hamas. NBC News correspondent Aaron McLaughlin has the details from Tel Aviv. Aaron, good morning.
Hey there, Yahya Sinwar was often referred to by the Israeli military as a dead man walking. They'd been hunting him for more than a year. But the Israeli military says that in the end, they found him by chance, part of a routine military operation in southern Gaza. We want to warn you that some of the images you're about to see are disturbing. This drone video shows the moment just before Israel says the leader of Hamas and the architect of the October 7th terror attack was killed. In the footage released by the Israeli military, the IDF says Yahya Sinwar sits alone, his face covered, and throws a stick at the drone. NBC News cannot confirm the video shows Sinwar. The images of Sinwar's body lying in the rubble, surrounded by Israeli troops, sent shockwaves through the region.
The mastermind of this day of sheer evil is no more.
According to an Israeli official, there was a fierce battle in southern Gaza. Israeli troops initially had no idea Sinwar was at the location. His body later discovered and identified using DNA tests and dental records.
Sometimes they are hiding in bunkers down deep, and sometimes they have meetings or whatever, and that's how he was caught.
President Biden called Prime Minister Netanyahu from Air Force One, saying he was pleased with his actions, but telling him it's time to move on.
Move toward a ceasefire in Gaza.
But Netanyahu said yesterday the war has yet to finish. Sinwar spent 23 years inside an Israeli prison for killing fellow Palestinians suspected of collaborating with Israel. He was released in 2011, one of more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners Netanyahu exchanged for a kidnapped Israeli soldier. Sinwar would go on to mastermind the October 7th attack, killing more than 1,200 Israelis and taking 251 hostages to Gaza. Among the hostages, 84-year-old Oded Lifshitz, kidnapped from kibbutz near Oz.
I'm scared.
His daughter-in-law says she's terrified Sinwar's death could spell even more misery for the remaining 101 hostages.
I want the hostages back home now. I want Grandpa to be back home. I want the Bivas children to be back home. And I think this will be impossible now.
While Sinwar's death is being seen as a serious blow to Hamas, this morning there is deep skepticism here in the region that it will end the war. Last night, the Israeli prime minister said that the war will end when Hamas lays down its weapons and releases the hostages. And this morning, we heard from a senior member of Hamas in a statement say, in part, we believe that our destiny is one of two good things, either victory or martyrdom. Back to you.
All right, Aaron, thank you.
Well, for more analysis, let's bring in Bilal Saab. He's head of the U.S. Middle East practice at Trends Research and Advisory. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. So this is being seen as more than a symbolic victory, right? Tell us how significant Sinwar's death is to Hamas and in the broader context of this whole conflict.
Good morning to you both. It's a bit more than symbolic. I'd say that this, if you believe the words of the Israelis, that this was the architect of October 7th, which he is, and he was a major obstacle to a ceasefire and the release of hostages. I mean, with him gone, the assumption is that this should facilitate some kind of progress on the negotiations. So this gives us an opportunity to move forward, as President Biden just said.
Yeah, so I mean, U.S. officials do hope this leads us to possibly getting closer to the end of the war. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu seems to echo that, but he's also said Israel has unfinished business. So what do you think happens next? Do you think we're going to see negotiations for a ceasefire step up and accelerate now?
Yeah, good question. The Israeli mindset at this point is key, obviously, understanding how the next few days are going to unfold. They're either going to be more ambitious or they're going to settle for something that resembles a ceasefire, and then that would lead us to, obviously, the release of hostages. I don't know where the Israeli mindset is. And that Israeli mindset should also be influenced by American considerations, except that we really haven't seen that much exercising, any leverage or pressure on the Israelis on the part of this administration. So the next couple of days are going to be quite key. You got to remember also that Hamas has a decision to make as well. I mean, they're without a leadership at this point. And so whether they reconsider their ways, whether they become a little bit more amenable to a ceasefire, that's also another factor that we all should consider.
We're also hearing reactions from family members of Israeli hostages and Palestinians living in Gaza. Also, of course, things we should be considering, some of whom are not as hopeful about what comes next. First, I want to play part of what one Palestinian man told NBC News earlier. Let's listen.
لا أعتقد إنه اغتيال السنوار هيخلص الحرب، بل بالعكس هيزيد الصعوبة. مش هيلقى مين يتفاوض الحين هتلمس في غزة كمان يحيى السنوار يفاوض. الحين مش تلقى مين بديل يحيى السنوار.
That man saying there that he's worried that it will make it more difficult because there won't be anyone to negotiate with. We also heard from an Israeli woman whose in-laws were kidnapped on October 7th. She thinks Hamas would have planned for what to do in the event of Sinwar's death and that this won't lead to a positive outcome for the hostages. Of course, both of those are just theories, but what do you make of those and how you put hope next to theories like that in this conflict?
Yeah, look, this skepticism is not unwarranted. I think that it really, first of all, I'm pretty sure that they had a plan for, the day after Sinwar will be gone. Obviously, he knew that, his life was in danger, obviously. Now the question is whether anybody from the leadership in Doha, in Qatar, will step up and, assume a leadership role. And there, actually, it might be a little bit more hopeful than what we just heard from the Palestinian, because those who are actually residing in Doha might be a little bit more flexible than Yahya Sinwar. I mean, the Qataris really did not like Yahya Sinwar. He was quite radical with his views. He was quite inflexible. So anybody basically who's treated as a guest in Doha should be more amenable to pressure, to influence by the Qataris. And so, that's the more hopeful course of action. And so let's see if that's actually going to materialize.
Bilal Saab, thank you very much for joining us on this breaking news this morning.
My pleasure.
Breaking news out of Texas, the scheduled execution of death row inmate Robert Robertson for the murder of his 2-year-old daughter was halted Thursday night. The Texas Supreme Court issued a partial stay in the case. NBC Nightly News anchor Lester Holt has the latest.
For 20 years, Robert Robertson's story has never changed.
Did you harm your daughter, Nikki?
No, sir, I did not harm my daughter.
But what has changed is the now controversial shaken baby syndrome diagnosis that convicted him of killing his 2-year-old daughter in 2002.
You did nothing that led to her death?
No, sir.
Robertson said he had rushed Nikki to the hospital after she'd fallen from her bed, and he found her unconscious. Doctors determined the little girl had bleeding behind her eyes and brain, which was also swollen. 3 symptoms known in medicine as the triad. At the time, doctors believed that could mean just one thing: abuse. But Robertson's current attorney insists Nikki was misdiagnosed.
There was this tragic death of a chronically ill child.
In fact, Nikki had been to the hospital more than 40 times in her short life, including 2 visits days before her death with a 104.5-degree fever, something that Brian Wharton, the detective who arrested Robertson, didn't know at the time.
We were aware that she had been sick recently, but I don't think we ever understood how extensive that history was.
Wharton, now a minister, also didn't know that Robertson had autism, explaining the lack of emotion that initially made the detective suspicious. He wasn't diagnosed until 2018. He now believes Robertson is innocent and regularly visits him. Wharton has been fighting to save his life. So has an army of others, including a bipartisan majority of the Texas legislature.
We're at a point here where the truth about Robert is being avoided and justice is not being served.
Minutes before the scheduled execution, a judge issued a temporary restraining order, delaying it so Robertson can testify at a hearing on Monday. The AG's office, however, is challenging that. I spoke with Brian Wharton by Zoom. Robertson asked him to witness his final moments.
It's a heavy burden.
He's asked me to be present, and I owe that to him. It doesn't feel like a burden, and so I will, to be with him, to make sure he knows that he's not alone.
How are you preparing for your own death?
I'm at peace. I'm not ready to go, you know. Like I tell people, God has the last say.
Thank you to Lester for that report. Though the court order allowed Robertson's death warrant to expire at midnight last night, his future is still uncertain. A new execution date could be set after his potential testimony before lawmakers next week, or sooner if ordered by the court.
Let's check in with meteorologist Angie Lastman.
She's got your weekend forecast. A nice-looking weekend forecast. Angie, good morning.
Yes, guys, indeed, especially if you live across the east. We've got a couple of bumpy spots for folks in the Pacific Northwest or parts of the Southwest, but the east, boy, you are waking up to clear skies. You're going to see plenty of sunshine through the day today, and honestly, a lot of folks are going to see that last through the weekend. Here's the few trouble spots, though, that I want you to pay attention to. We've got this one kind of system that's been hanging around parts of the Rockies. That's going to continue to add on some additional snow for that region. It'll add on some additional rain. We will watch for the potential for some flooding concerns across that area, too. And we've got an atmospheric river taking shape across the Pacific Northwest. That, too, is going to bring some heavy rain to folks across that region, specifically the heaviest of it, the Olympic Peninsula, the Northern Cascades. That's where we'll watch for some really heavy rain. Most of the worst of it stays up into Canada, but still, it'll impact folks across Seattle and points closer to the coast. Otherwise, the gusty conditions and the rainy conditions and some additional snow will be what we watch through the next couple of days across the southern portions of those Rockies. I mentioned the gusty winds. We've already got 19 million people under these wind alerts. You can see wind advisories and high wind warnings. They do include major cities of Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Sacramento, and stretching into parts of Arizona and New Mexico as well. So we'll see those winds anywhere from 20 to 30 miles per hour on the lower end across a big area of this region, or a big chunk of this region, but we'll see the highest amounts, maybe 43 miles per hour for Las Vegas. That's what we're expecting for your peak wind gusts there. Palm Springs, across Albuquerque, high 30s. So again, the breezy conditions and gusty conditions will be there for folks there. We'll watch for also the flash flooding that I mentioned, specifically, again, parts of Colorado stretching into Arizona, New Mexico. We'll watch for that here. Even Texas could see some potential for that flooding, but the greatest of it is centered across this region here where you see the highest amounts, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain on those burn scars areas. It's not hard for us to see some flooding with those types of conditions, so we'll be watching that. The tropics, they've been fairly quiet this week, and we love that, right? We've got a couple of things that we're watching. This tropical disturbance, 94L, we're not expecting a whole lot from that, just has a 10% chance of further development here, or developing at all, really, from the National Hurricane Center. But this area, tropical disturbance 95L, has a 50% chance. So maybe we could see some development. It'll be short-lived. It doesn't look like the environment will be all that great for anything long-term, but we'll watch for some potential rainfall across parts of Central America and parts of Mexico in the coming days. Meanwhile, it's a chilly one across the east and honestly the west. We've got alerts up for both of those locations when it comes to freeze warnings and frost advisories. You see 49 million people for the east, with temperatures into the 30s, into the 40s. Tallahassee, thank goodness for you guys, it's back to the 50s. I know how brutal that is in Florida to see those temperatures drop into the 40s. By this afternoon, it'll be a little better, depending on what you like. Mid-60s for New York. We've got 70s, though, for Des Moines, Kansas City, St. Louis. Feeling more like September than October across that area of the country. And we'll keep that going all the way into your Saturday forecast. And again, this is going to be accompanied by a whole lot of sunshine. So really picture-perfect kind of day. Maybe not as chilly as you would like it for some fall activities, but we'll take the 70s while we've got them. And that same kind of trend sticks with us, guys, for the west, too. We'll see some cooler temperatures, though, for places like Seattle, low 60s, but they get to the low 50s by the beginning of next week.
week.
50s in Florida. Is that when they start wearing parkas?
Oh, they broke out the Uggs. They've got the parkas, the scarves. Trust me. I've seen it with my own eyes. The iguanas start falling.
Okay, as a San Diegan, 50, like, that's a little cold.
Well, as a Michigander,
we're the upper Midwesterners.
I know that you guys don't agree, but I'm just
20
saying,
below.
like, when you've got shock to the system, when you're not used to it.
Yeah, shorts and 40s.
Okay, well, that is
too. Yeah,
a lot. Thanks, Angie. Of course. Sure to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including the disturbing new details surrounding the tragic death of One Direction star Liam Payne and the touching tributes now pouring in from his former bandmates.
But first, after the break, it was a gruesome double murder that shook one small Indiana town to its core. Now, more than 7 years later, a suspect faces a judge. We've got the details next.
Welcome back. After 7 years, the high-profile trial for the gruesome double murder of 2 teenage girls will begin this morning in a small town in Indiana. Opening statements will get underway in the case that dates back to 2017, when the teens were killed while out hiking. Here's NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa in Delphi with the latest.
Hey there, this years-long case is packed with twists and turns. At its core, a local husband and father is charged with killing 2 middle school girls back in 2017. The prosecution pointing to a recording on one victim's cell phone, as well as, they say, dozens of confessions. The defense, meanwhile, firing back with everything from a cult theory to what they argue is a key piece of evidence, a single strand of hair.
In Indiana, a small town's terror is finally going to trial, with opening statements today in the Delphi double murder case. 52-year-old Richard Allen has pleaded not guilty to the 2017 stabbings of best friends 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German. Their bodies found near a bridge along a popular walking trail. The community haunted ever since.
We had a couple years when people were afraid to come to the area.
Investigators say Allen managed to elude authorities for 5 years. The husband and father arrested in 2022 after authorities say they linked a shell casing found at the crime scene to a pistol he owned. But so far, they've been tight-lipped about why they believe that shot was fired. One big clue, a man's voice captured on Libby's cell phone the day she was fatally stabbed. The prosecution now expected to present to the jury accounts of more than 60 confessions they say Allen made in prison. The defense claiming he's innocent, saying Allen did not make those confessions voluntarily, and arguing suspect sketches released shortly after the murders looked nothing like Allen. The defense team also arguing in pretrial hearings, investigators overlooked a single strand of hair found in one of the victim's hands that did not belong to Allen. At one point, defense attorneys even arguing evidence at the scene indicated the murders could have been a ritualistic cult sacrifice. But the judge dismissed that theory last month and will not allow it to be heard in the case.
This is a case where the defense doesn't have a lot of options, so they've got to try anything.
Both sides now under a gag order, with jurors, 8 women and 4 men, bussed in from another county to weigh a case that's captivated this community for nearly a decade.
Yeah, the judge really trying to keep a tight lid on this case. It's worth noting Richard Allen's family, as well as the families of both victims, are also covered under that gag order. And the jury in this case will be sequestered throughout the trial, only allowed to speak to their own families under the supervision of a court bailiff. Back to you.
All right, Maggie, thank you so much.
Now to the latest developments in the death of One Direction member Liam Payne. This morning, new details are emerging about the singer's final hours before his fatal fall off a hotel balcony in Argentina.
Yeah, this is coming as Payne's One Direction bandmates have now been reacting to his death. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas joins us now with the latest here. Chloe, good morning.
Hey, guys, good morning. The music world is still reeling over this young singer's tragic death, and it all comes as investigators have now released these new details about his behavior just before he went off the 3rd floor balcony of his hotel room.
As investigators comb through Liam Payne's Buenos Aires hotel room, his One Direction bandmates now speaking out about the 31-year-old's tragic death. In a joint statement, the band says they are completely devastated. Harry Styles speaking out personally, writing, "The years we spent together will forever remain among the most cherished years of my life. I will miss him always, my lovely friend." Zayn Malik posting, "I lost a brother." Niall Horan this morning referencing his reunion with Payne at a recent concert, writing, "I sadly didn't know I would be saying goodbye forever. It's heartbreaking. And Louis Tomlinson writing that he would be the uncle to Payne's young son and, quote, tell him stories of how amazing his dad was. It comes as a preliminary autopsy report reveals new details about Payne's fatal fall, including that it's believed that the singer was going through some kind of breakdown as a result of substance abuse, according to Argentina's National Prosecutor's Office. In a 911 call obtained by Telemundo from local media, a hotel staff member asks for police to respond to an intoxicated guest who was tearing up his room. These photos obtained by Telemundo and confirmed by hotel employees show what responding officers say they found in Payne's hotel, including destroyed furniture and what authorities think are narcotics and alcohol. By the time police arrived on Wednesday, Payne had fallen from his third-story balcony, dying on impact. While the report does not determine if Payne's fall was accidental or intentional, prosecutors say that the musician was alone at the time and believe he could have fallen in a state of semi or total unconsciousness. As fans in the music world paid tribute, an emotional moment on stage as collaborator Rita Ora performed their song For You in Japan.
I can't even sing this right now.
Maggie Rogers also honoring Payne, playing One Direction's Night Changes at a concert overnight. And superstar Ed Sheeran speaking out this morning, writing, "Every memory I have with him is a great one."
And Chloe, we heard police have already interviewed multiple witnesses who may know more about what led to Payne's fall. What are we hearing?
So we know that there are 5 individuals that made contact with Liam Payne in like the minutes or hours right before he died. So we know investigators have spoken to those individuals, but they had already left the hotel at the time of Liam's fatal fall. What they do know in this initial autopsy report and what the Argentina authorities put out yesterday is that he was alone at the time of his death, but obviously still a lot of questions as to what really happened in those final moments.
Chloe, thank you so much. So tragic.
Coming up, you could call it unbelievable.
It's a big pun day for you. All the fabulous fall foliage is really making a splash on social media this year, but in some communities, those leaf peepers, as they're known, are causing more than a few headaches for locals. Look at those crowds. We'll explain coming up next. We are back now with a look at how artificial intelligence is challenging law enforcement. NBC News law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter recently sat down with the NYPD's Deputy Commissioner for Intelligence and Counterterrorism to learn how criminals are using this new technology.
How many? It's a new world in counterterrorism.
We've been describing the threat environment as everything, everywhere, all at once. And this is around the world, across ideologies, lone actors, complex organized group, all of it.
NYPD Deputy Commissioner Rebecca Weiner runs the largest police intelligence and counterterrorism program in the world. A secretive NYPD unit now facing a new tool that works 24/7, 365 days a year, potentially for would-be terrorists. Artificial intelligence.
AI takes existing problems and magnifies them. It makes them at scale and at cost. The technology makes it easier to do the concerning stuff.
Terrorist groups telling their followers to get working with AI chat programs and making AI-generated propaganda videos to recruit extremists. This video, made by ISIS, entirely AI-generated and voiced, released after the deadly Crocus attack near Moscow.
You can generate artificial propaganda without any concerns involving your own personal safety. If you can use a video generator to do that work for you, it's much faster. You can do more of it.
Weiner says the AI platforms have guardrails to try and keep criminals from using them. I asked several AI chatbots how to build a bomb. They said they wouldn't help me, and when I asked them why, it's because they said they didn't want me to do anything illegal or to hurt anyone. Guardrails the platforms have put in place.
Guardrails, by the way, that are continually quite easy to jump.
Is your finding that people are breaking through that?
Yes, and it's pretty easy to do, depending on how you're asking questions.
Weiner says she hopes AI companies will reach out to law enforcement to identify people interacting with chat programs in an effort to carry out attacks, much the same way major retailers report suspicious purchases of bomb-making materials. Another thing worrying authorities, a rise in AI-assisted scams targeting vulnerable people like the elderly. And fake 911 calls, known as swatting, which necessitates police racing to respond.
This is against schools, it's against houses of worship. It is easy and it is free to generate hundreds or more of these calls that can be mapped out across the country at the same time. All of them, by the way, still require police response.
But Weiner says one of her chief concerns with AI, how easy it is to generate and distribute disinformation.
Because of crooked Joe Biden, we have an immigration crisis.
And that fake AI-generated election videos like these
but there's a bigger bomb if you fire them.
Can pose real public safety risks.
Virality is often emotion-provoking, and there is a big concern around disinformation-fueled political violence, conspiracy theory-driven violence, which we have seen an increase of, including in this city over the last few years.
New technology often comes with ethical questions, something Weiner knows well. Her grandfather worked on the Manhattan Project and helped to develop the atomic bomb.
His commitment to further national security in a way that certainly has tremendous systemic downsides, the creation of a horrific weapon of war. And many of the scientists thought that they would be ending war for good by creating so much deterrence that no one would dare want to start a war with these kinds of weapons.
Would you put AI on the same level as that technology?
Well, people who are far smarter than I am have likened the advent of, proliferated AI to the advent of the nuclear era. Obviously, very different. We are certainly at an inflection point. I think it's going to change all aspects of society, which, of course, includes threats.
While Weiner still believes that one day AI could yield benefits for law enforcement, she says for now,
the bad guys might have a bit of an upper hand.
Do you think you're behind the curve when it comes to AI and the threat that it poses to your field?
I think we are at the curve. We're not behind, we're recognizing the risk.
Is this an existential threat?
I don't think it's an existential threat, but I am not a scientist. It's going to require some regulatory environments that don't exist. It will require cooperation between private sector, law enforcement, intel, and way broader groups of stakeholders to figure out how to harness the good but avoid the bad.
Our thanks to Tom Winter for that report. Fascinating look. So as we heard there, the NYPD isn't currently using AI to solve crimes, but they are considering the possibility of using it to help sort through large amounts of tips and clues in the future, especially in an area like counterterrorism.
As we count down to humans once again visiting the moon, one big question is still unanswered. How are they going to get around? One of the companies vying to have its vehicle chosen to help astronauts explore the moon surface is Astrolab. NBC News Now anchor Gotti Schwartz paid them a visit to take a ride.
3, 2, 1. The Artemis mission, planning to put humans on the moon,
and liftoff of Artemis 1.
Scheduled for 2026.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
Astronaut time on the moon is going to be the most precious resource in the world.
But once they get there, they're going to need some wheels. And the engineers at Astrolab in Hawthorne, California,
So it'll be a simple step up,
are hoping it's this rover.
So we're deep in the design of the actual lunar version of our rover Flex.
The battery-powered rover can carry 2 astronauts in their spacesuits, can be used to transport larger equipment, and gather samples with its robotic arm. It can even be remotely driven from here on Earth.
We're going to like driving with their dominant hand.
NASA selected Astrolabs as one of 3 companies to design a rover to help explore the lunar South Pole, and on this day, it's exploring an empty lot near LAX.
It is pretty wild to be in El Segundo. I mean, like the 110's over here, LAX is over here, and here we are testing out the future of possibly space travel, right?
LA really is the center of aerospace in the country, in my mind. A lot of it started here, and so we're happy to continue that tradition.
The original moon buggy, or lunar roving vehicle, was built by Boeing, and like the Flex, it was also battery-powered. It went to the moon on 3 Apollo missions.
Hop on board and get the driving demo.
Today's moon buggy will be driven by the first ever female astronauts to walk on the moon. And one of these women might get that honor. They're test driving the vehicle to get a feel for the controls and talk about improvements with Astrolab. their expertise critical in helping finish what Astrolab hopes will be the rover design of the future. But its intuitive controls are built to make a lunar commute as easy as possible.
Wow.
As we experienced for ourselves when Astrolab let us take Flex for a spin in 2022.
You're natural.
This is Earth. We still have gravity bearing down on us. And really, the people that know what it's like to be in zero gravity, like that's a limited amount of humans, right?
Yeah, it's just a few hundred people who have been to space. These two women have spent months on the International Space Station, done EVAs, done multiple flights, incredibly accomplished people with great experience that they can bring to bear on this testing.
Now more testing, putting Flex one small step closer to off-world off-roading for all humankind.
Our thanks to Gotti for that report. So far, no word on when the decision will be made on which of the 3 vehicles will be chosen for a possible moon mission.
So neat to see, and I know that's Gotti's dream. All right, we're in the middle of fall foliage season, with this weekend expected to be among the very best for viewing the changing leaves, especially up here where we are in the Northeast. And that means it's time for leaf peepers to get out and enjoy the fall colors. For more on this, NBC News correspondent Sam Brock has made his way to Rockefeller State Park Preserve in upstate New York. Sam, good morning. First, you have to start by saying leaf peepers 3 times fast.
I was going to say leaf peepers, leaf peepers, leaf peepers. I think I got it. Isn't it fun? Just rolls right off the tongue, Savannah and Joe. Good morning. Look, this is the wheelhouse right now for fall foliage. We're right in the middle of it. It starts early October, obviously coming up on one of the peak weekends here. If you look around me, you can understand why people want to see this. It is stunning, all of the colors changing. For that very reason, it's pushing more families, guys, out onto the trail. So state park systems have to adjust, both providing content for places that aren't quite as congested and using reservation systems to try to manage all of that flow.
It's that time of year again. Splashes of red, yellow, and orange creating breathtaking views.
This is, without a doubt, the best hike to see the fall foliage.
Peak fall foliage now in season with leaf peepers out in full force. From coast to coast, trees undergoing this magnificent color-changing effect. From Washington State and Colorado to New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire. For visitors taking in these unbelievable backdrops, it's like stepping into a movie.
You don't like it here?
Oh, the leaves are great.
According to New Hampshire's own foliage tracker, mid-October is the best time to embrace the colors of fall. The Granite State, home to more than 90 different state parks, is expecting close to 4 million visitors for this seasonal sensation. Along Artist Bluff Trail and Franconia Notch State Park, one of the hot spots for sightseeing, large crowds creating some congested scenes with a bottleneck of people along the path.
We saw a few people come down from being on top saying how terrified they were at the top.
But Brian Wilson, the state park's director, says his team has tweaked and promoted new technology to better manage the flood of visitors.
We've got some reservation systems in place. It's helping us just kind of be aware of when they're coming and to kind of spread others around that are coming in.
The popularity of foliage tourism has increased over the years, driven in large part by social media.
Visiting Sleepy Hollow in the fall worth it?
With cities like Pomfret, Vermont, temporarily shutting down areas to non-locals.
The TikTokers or Instagram has really made the difference in the last couple of years.
Wilson's advice, try to grab a spot on the reservation system ahead of time, and if it's full, check out their social media accounts for hidden gems.
Oh, those Instagram and TikTokers, guys. Speaking of which, there are really robust websites and social media accounts everywhere from New Hampshire to New York. And New York, this is one of my favorites. They have the I Love New York map foliage that you can find on their website that shows you exactly, based on where you are in the state, where things stand in terms of the season. Really cool there. They also have a leaf identifier season or system, so you can scroll through and figure out what type of leaf you're looking at. If you really want to take your expertise, guys, to the next level, and people will have to believe you when you tell them what you're looking at.
You know, Sam, for a Miami boy, you look like you just popped out of a Northeast Fall catalog with your little Patagonia pullover. I love it.
Am I not autumnal right now? A vision of it? I just wanted to do it for you guys.
Okay. I didn't know that there were different types of leaves that people are like, this is a...
Yeah.
I would have to make up a Vermont.
Really, I knew.
Maple.
Sam,
something. All right.
Thank you. Enjoy. Coming up, we are chatting with the one and only Julie Bowen right here in studio.
She stars in a new horror series that hits Peacock today, just in time for spooky season. It's called Hysteria with an exclamation point. And she is here with us live after this. We're back now with your financial headlines, starting with some harsh words from a top Amazon executive aimed at remote workers.
NBC's Savannah Hanau joins us with that and some other financial news for you. Hey, Savannah, good morning.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Joe. Good morning. Yeah, the head of Amazon's AWS business is defending the company's new policy requiring employees to be in the office 5 days a week. Now, Reuters says at an all-hands meeting, he told them if they don't support the rules, they can quit. And the new policy takes effect in January. It's upset many employees who say it wastes time with commuting. Meanwhile, sports venues around the country are facing increasing risks from changing weather patterns. A report out this week from risk analysis firm Climate Access, NFL stadiums could experience $11 billion in climate-related losses over the next 25 years. With those stadiums being also used for concerts, community events, and storm shelters, the economic impact could be significant. And Climate X says MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, home to the New York Giants and Jets, could incur the most losses due to its low elevation and exposure to flooding from storm surge. And Dollar General is the latest major retailer to roll out holiday savings. The chain is offering a buy two, get one free deal from October 20th through Thanksgiving. If customers buy a 6-count Keebler mini pie crust and 12-ounce container of Eagle brand evaporated milk, they'll get one free 15-ounce Clover Valley canned pumpkin. Other deals include a sweet potato and green bean casserole bundle. Dollar General says it also has several coupons consumers can use to save for the holidays, like a weekly $5 off a $25 purchase, guys.
All right, Savannah, thank you so much.
Yeah, we are laughing because we can't wait for our new guest here. Savannah, we love you. A new original horror show is out on NBC's Peacock today. It's a limited series called Hysteria, set in small-town Michigan in the 1980s.
It's based off true events in the 80s, including a movement that was known as Satanic Panic. That was a decade when a lot of people believed the devil touched everything from music to board games.
Okay, and we are so excited to have actor Julie Bowen in studio with us. She plays Linda Campbell in this series, whose character is one of the moms in this small town. Julie, good morning.
Good morning.
We are so excited to have you. Big day for us here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Without giving it away, we gave a little bit, but tell us a little bit more about what this is about, the plot.
Well, I mean, like you said, it's a small town, and there was this idea that there was satanic panic music and Dungeons and Dragons, and these things were going to somehow call the devil in, Ouija boards. I mean, we remember some of these things. I don't believe in any of that, but I do think that it's really interesting because it's talking about a news bubble, really, is what it's talking about. When you're in a small town in the 80s and there's only one source of news, you've got gossip, the morning, the newspaper, and then the 6 o'clock news, and everybody's getting their same news in a news bubble. Misinformation spreads really fast.
Wow.
I'm not saying it's a political
statement. You think it's relevant today?
I'm just saying no matter whether you are blue, red, or purple, we're all in a bubble.
Yeah, and now this time it
bubbles.
feels like this time we just have too much information, and therefore, but we do.
Right, but we tend to self-select. We have too much information, but then your news feed is just giving you what you want. The algorithm is feeding you what you want. So we've all created our own little small town bubbles in our own way. Even within the family. I mean, I'll sit down to dinner with my kids and we were all been receiving different information from his TikTok says this and your Instagram fed you that. So it works as a fun, poppy, horror. It's very genre bending. It's very entertaining, and yet it's also
love that.
It's a thinker if you want it to be.
Good. All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so a lot of us know and love you, of course, from Modern Family. A very opposite type of show and genre. I wonder what it was like to step into a role like this, especially because we've just learned you actually don't like anything scary. So how do you set yourself into this all day, every day while you're working?
Well, it's much better when you're seeing how the sausage is made, because then it's not as terrifying. I get very scared. I saw one horror movie once. I saw Nightmare on Elm Street projected on the wall of a dance club with no volume, and I could not sleep for a month. For a month, I slept with all the lights on.
What year was that?
It was a long time ago. I think I was in high school. It
What is it about Freddy Krueger? Is it?
I don't even.
The sweater. The sweater.
It's just people scaring other people. It does not bring me joy. But I understand it brings my kids joy. It brings so many people joy. They love it. They love it. And then on Modern Family, Claire loved Halloween.
Yeah,
she loves scary stuff. I have always, but I'm okay to play that, and then in real life be like, not for me.
If you know the scare is coming, but you have to pretend to be scared, what is that like? What do you have to tap into?
How hard is that?
You could still scare me. You could scare me right now. Like,
Okay,
right in front of me.
even if you know it was coming?
And I would still jump out of my chair. My kids, when they come home, have to walk to the front door and go, Mom, it's me. Mom, it's me. Mom, it's me. Until they find me. I jump out of my skin. So I'm very, it wasn't hard to get into the character of Linda Campbell and get freaked out and scared. It was like spooky. That set was like dark and weird. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we also know Happy Gilmore 2 is in the works. What can you tell us?
There are so many guest stars on this. Every single day that I go to set, I'm like, huh? Are you kidding? And I'm not sure
how cool.
I'm not sure who's been in the press, but
so you can't even. You
I'm
don't
only
even
allowed-
know who you could talk about because it's so.
Because I'm not, I don't know. I mean, I know, I read Travis Kelce, yes. So
Okay.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah,
was
yeah,
there.
we heard that.
Right. So, and then there's every golfer that ever lived.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of musicians that I don't know who's been listed. So I'm not like, everybody's got a code name.
Cool.
So, but, you know.
Wow, what a cool
some of them you can
operation.
figure
But it
out.
must be fun.
Oh my gosh, it's bananas. It is so nice. And you know what? It is lovely. Watching Adam go from, I've known him since Happy Gilmore 1.
Yeah.
When he was a dude, you know, a fun dude, to a dad who wants nothing more than to work and live with his family all the time and has built this whole work family around him. It is lovely. He's a lovely guy, and it is really fun.
That is so wonderful to hear. Also, go see Hysteria on Peacock.
Peacock today.
I can't wait to see. I can't wait to be scared. Julie, thank you. What a fun morning.
Thank you. It's great
to have you with us.
All right, coming up, another spooky season thriller that's cleaning up with the critics.
That is Smile, too. Really worth all the Halloween hype. Grab your popcorn. We've got more on that and everything else from the world of entertainment that you simply can't miss this weekend. Stay with us.
Finally this hour, time for your can't miss list to look at all the movies and shows coming out this weekend.
Of course, that you just can't miss. We're so happy to have entertainment journalist and pop culture expert Brian Balthazar to let us know exactly what those things are. Brian, great to have you with us. Okay, we're going to start with what we just teased a second ago, Smile 2. And as a scary movie lover, I do actually think it looks really scary. Like,
it does look scary, and it's really interesting. You don't have to have seen the first one, but I think you should see the first one because it's really good. And there's this entity who takes people over, and it manifests itself in this smile expression. Here's a really fun fact, and I hate the expression "fun fact," but you know that it kind of leans in on the Kubrick stare, which is, and if you'll indulge me, I'm going to do it for you. You just smile to the camera. You smile.
Put him
and
on,
then you
put him
just
on.
put him on camera too, and then you smile, and then you go like this. You just tilt your head down a little bit. That's over the brow. So that's kind of what it leans in on. Jack Nicholson made that famous in The Shining.
The Shining.
Jack Nicholson's son Ray Nicholson is in this film and on the posters, and he's doing the Kubrick stare as interpreted by Smile. It is scary, but not in the expected ways. So I think you should see it.
Why do we have to ruin smiling for people? Okay.
Well,
All right.
it ruins fake smiles. It ruins fake smiles.
I'm going to see it.
Right.
All right, something a little more heartwarming.
Yes.
This is an autobiographical movie, right?
Yes.
Called Exhibiting Forgiveness.
That's right. It was a huge hit at Sundance, getting huge numbers on Rotten Tomatoes. It's loosely autobiographical. It's written and directed by Titus Kaphar, who's actually a painter, an amazing painter. The story is about a painter whose emerging, exploding success is interrupted when his estranged father comes back into his life. And Andra Day is in this. Andre Holland is in it. Great reaction, great reviews. I think it's a thoughtful movie. It's a very, very emotional, thoughtful movie.
Oh, sounds amazing. Okay, Michael Keaton back in the spotlight. He'll be doing SNL this weekend.
Right.
Of course, he's in Beetlejuice, but also a movie I'm excited about, Goodrich. Tell us about this.
Right, okay, Michael Keaton and Mila Kunis. So Michael Keaton plays a dad. He's in his second marriage, and he has 2 young kids. His wife calls him and says, I've gone into rehab. I'll be gone for 99 days or something. So good luck with the kids. So then Michael Keaton leans on his oldest daughter from a prior marriage. Mila Kunis' character now witnesses Michael Keaton being a better dad than he was to her. So it's kind of an emotional story, and that, like, you know, many people have gone through this, frankly, you know, where you see your father being better towards your grandkids than you know, their grandkids than yours. So it's an emotional story, but it's also funny. You've got some great comedic actors in here, so it's got a little loose comedy in there as well.
We just saw Michael Urie in there, and he's actually in Shrinking season 2. He was on our show recently. We asked him a little bit about it.
Season 2 for the entire show is about forgiveness, and where I begin is Jason Segel's character, Jimmy, is keeping something from me. So right away, he and I are at odds, which is very fun to play.
All right, so he's at odds with Jason Segel.
Right.
Well, what else should we know?
Okay, so Jason Segel, this story is kind of brought to you in part by the folks behind Ted Lasso. It's an emotional journey, right? And Jason Segel's character, he's a shrink who loses his wife to a drunk driving accident. In this season, Brett Goldstein from Ted Lasso comes into season 2 as the person who was the drunk driver. So it's an emotional story. These are all densely layered characters. A lot of heavy stories in this segment today, but densely layered characters coming to grips with their issues. And the central character, Jason Segel, is doing it himself. He's kind of doing a lot of coping and evolving.
Okay, Brian, we only have like 20 seconds, but we have to ask you. You have something we can't miss.
Yes, come to the Catskills Comedy Festival. I'll see you there tonight. All weekend, there's all sorts of things. I'm hosting a Look at That's Me, How to Make Smarter Choices in the Bathtub.
Oh
we did one with a hairdryer, but we were like, maybe that's not a good message. tccfest.org.
There you go.
I'm hilarious.
Not responsible.
I am a delight. I am a delight. Check it out.
I love it.
Brian,
very cool. Thank you so much,
thanks
Brian.
as always.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this hour. Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.